Many of us feel we are laboring, but we are struggling. Struggling and laboring are not the same thing. If you labor, you expect a wage, like wages at the end of the day. But if you struggle, you have nothing to benefit at the end of the day. You become fruitless. If you labor, you will have wages at the end. But if you struggle, nothing to show for it. Two different things. Someone can be working, but it's not working. It's struggling. Because if you say you are working, it means at the end of the day, there should be something for you to show forth for. But if you have nothing to show forth for at the end of the day, it means you were actually what? Struggling. You were not laboring. Everyone that labors with Christ should bear it in mind that it's not in vain. There's definitely a reward to labor for God, to labor in God's word and His vineyard. I mean, a reward that nobody needs to pray for you. A reward that doesn't need anybody's consent, approval. If indeed you are laboring in God's vineyard, you will be rewarded. So the question is, who is a true laborer? A true laborer is someone that sees the work of God as a privilege, not a right and entitlement. You see the work of God as a privilege, not a right, not an entitlement. That means it is not your right to save God. It is not your right. I'm this, I'm in the ocean. It is not your right. It is what? Everyone that works with God are called before time. If you are not called before time, you cannot save God. It doesn't matter where you save God from. It means you have been called to do so before you can do it. If you are not called to save God, I bet you'll get tired along the way because you're not called to do it. Because sometimes it can be very challenging, frightening, fearful, disheartening. But you see what will keep on going? That mandate will keep you going. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 58. Therefore, my dear brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the Lord's work, knowing that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. Knowing that your labor in the Lord is not what? It's not in vain. Your labor should be in the Lord. Not for Pastor M.Tommy. Not even for Peace Ark Ministry. Should be for what? God. When I say it should be for God, it means it should be with sincerity of heart and purpose. The moment you become a worker in church, you become a co-laborer in Christ. You are God's hand here on earth. You are God's leg here on earth. You are God's eyes here on earth. God needs you. It means every time you refuse to walk, destiny suffers. You have cut short your labor. Anywhere you find yourself, know that in that place you are God's hand. You are God's eyes. You are God's leg. You are God's everything. Because if He needs to move, He will need you to move. If He needs to get something, He will need your hands to do what? To get that thing. And He says, have it at the back of your mind that it is not in vain. Most times you get weary. I'm I must be at choir practice every day. I do this every day. I'm tired. Yes. Yes, you are a human being. You're supposed to be tired. Deserve to be tired. But don't forget that all that you have done is not in what? It's not in vain. That's why I used to say, if you are useful, you cannot die useless. I mean, if you are useful in God's hand, you can't die a useless death. There's nobody as quiet like you. Tell your neighbor, there's nobody as quiet like you. Someone may sing better than you, but he cannot sing like you. Someone can talk better than you, but cannot talk like you. It means you are so unique. There will be a day, there will be a time God needs you and no one else. Oh, he cannot do it, she cannot do it, but that's the person he must be available. You don't know what would have happened to you before now. But the reason why that did not happen to you is because, number one, God didn't want to be distracted by those things. Because he knows that as a worker in church, if that thing happened to you, it will get you distracted. Number two, he provides you with premium security because you are useful. So when you are moving around as a worker, be proud. Be proud because you didn't call yourself. God did what? Called you. If God calls you, it means he knows you by name. So you are not just serving in your departments by mistake. You are called by the boss. He knows you. He knows everything about you. He has given his consent for you to work. He knows your future. He knows your today. He knows everything about you. And he knows how to help you to do the work well. What happened to others may not happen to you. Because he needs you. We could be 20, 50, 100. But it shocks you at the end of the day. The people that actually makes that place work is just 2 or 3. Because God searches the heart. He does what? It blesses you. Or the blessing is dependent on the motive of your heart in serving him. The blessings of God is dependent on the motive behind your services to him. Samuel told God, why not pardon this guy? He said, Samuel, forget about looking at Saul from the utmost appearance. I, the Lord, have rejected him. Because I searched the what? The heart. What was that? Saul intentionally, it doesn't as if he forgot that God asked him not to pick anything from the warfare. He knew it. He brought the spoil. When he brought the spoil, he said, let me bring this one so that I was aroused to God. Are you following me now? He said, let me bring this one so that I will do what? Did God ask you for sacrifice? So when Samuel was trying to say, Father, he said, forget about, you see, God's Paul is like this. He's huge. Forget about him. I, the Lord, have done what? I've rejected him. Because I know the heart of. Your services to God start from where? Your heart. Today, many people are serving, laboring for the pastor. Many are laboring for the church. But are not laboring for God. Yes. If you are laboring for God, nobody can change your focus. Because you're not laboring for them. God is who you depend on. He's the one that marks your work. It's not any man. Right from the day you become a worker, who are you working for? God. I said, you are now received to be worker in church. God bless you, church. I'm done with you. I don't have any business with you. Who are you working for? God. You're working with God. I don't have any. The only time you can have a connection with me is if I ordained you. Did I ordain you? Have I ordained any of you? I can't now. So don't owe you any explanation. You don't owe me what? You don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. If you are to leave this church to somewhere else, Pastor, the same way you give me that right on a fellowship, give me what? A release. Not be a blessing, just a release. Because you are changing a particular position to another. Sit down. If not that, you will live here. Your fans will be here. Your angel will be coming to Peace Ark every day waiting for you. The blessing you won't see because you are not where you are supposed to. You won't see. Lie. No matter what happens, I can't stay away from church. Except by the agreement of God and beyond my powers. But if intentionally, I can't do what? I can't do that. The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 8. Now the one who plants and the one who waters are equal, and each will receive his own reward according to his own. The one who plant, the one who water are what? But at the end of the day, he will be rewarded according to our labor. What is your labor? How are you serving God? How are you laboring? One day I will stand and they will ask me for all of you in Peace Ark Ministry. I sent you 200 people, I sent you 500 people. How did you treat them? I sent you to stay there to Peace Ark Ministry. How did you serve me there? You'll be asked. You don't know you'll be asked? You'll be asked. Walking with God is like this. It's like a child that is sent to a boarding school. Your parents are not there, but they're waiting for only one thing: the results. If you like, stay in school for 6 months, for 4 months. When you go back home, they will ask you for what? Results. They may not come to visit you, but they will ask you results. What did you do while in school? So since your parents are not there, you have teachers that represent your parents, that guides you, that helps you. So by the time you get back home, you should have what to present to your parents. So God sent you here and said, I will send you pastors after my heart. So my work is to guide you to do what God asks you to come and do on earth. Mentor you, teach you, put you on the right path. No, don't do it this way. Do it that way. No, it should be done this way so that you can do it well. Because at the end of the day, you will go with the result. You can still be in church, but your work is not acknowledged. Your labor is not seen. Because the heart is far from what your hands are doing. What the hands does should be exactly what the heart says. Say, neighbor, what the hand does should be what the heart says. That is the only way you can be rewarded. You see, sometimes you feel God will reward you this way, but He has a better reward for you. He has something, as I used to say, God will give you what money cannot buy. You ask God, because I'm saving you, open doors for me financially. Yeah. That's something anybody can have. He will give you what money. There are things that money cannot buy. Yes, you have billion, but you see that billion, it cannot get to that thing. You must follow the right process. You must wait for the right time. But these are the things God gives to you without you asking for. That's what God does. Do you understand what it means to get married and you have peace in marriage? Do you understand what it means to get married and you don't have peace in marriage? It's priceless. It's what? It's priceless. That's what we call blessing. The money may not be there. You may not have big house and big car, but you are fine. It's what? Money cannot buy. That's why when you're asking God for something, don't ask God for things that are now. Ask God for things money, and God will never give anyway. God will never give any money. Same thing money can buy. If you say that you are blessed because you have money, you don't know what you're saying. Anything I can finish is not what? Blessing. The blessings of God are eternal, priceless. What money cannot. Do you know what it means to have children that will listen to you? You have children that you don't need to raise them and hit them on the ground. When you say don't, they hear don't. When you say sit, money cannot buy it. Money cannot buy you. It's a blessing. We underrate these things. It's a blessing. Then you don't know what I'm talking about. These are things we should thanking God for. We underrate because it's not 1 billion. It's not 500 million. It's not a house and car. You won't thank God. When you labor, God has a way of blessing you, giving you a blessing that gives you true peace. I said, understand that it's a privilege, not a right. Many are looking for a way to be like you. They cannot. People are asking, Father, help me. I want to save you, but they don't have that privilege. They can't. They can't have that boldness, that consistency to serve God. My services to God, my love for God did not start here. Whatever you have seen me doing now, I'm doing it effortlessly because I have done it for years. I love God so much with everything in me. Remember, if you see me doing, you're getting them for eye service. But I'm putting everything in me to save who? I have nobody else. No one else than who? Than God. Nobody. In your various churches, how are you saving God? Yes, you come to Peace Ark, but you have a church, right? How are you serving God there? Are you serving God because of pastor? If you serve God because of pastor, once the pastor offends you, you will run away. You will leave the church. Because it's pastor that you are doing what? Yeah, now. If it's God, nobody can change your focus. I have not withheld the truth from this church. Even sometimes it looks as if I'm doing that to my own detriment, but I've not withheld the truth from you. This is the right thing to do. Save God with all what? Your hearts.